This episode of Kindred Spirits is brought to you in part by Mundy Development. Whether you're beginning your first real estate purchase or you're a seasoned investor, Mundy Development can assist you with all aspects of the process. Kick off your next investment by visiting mundydev.com. That's MUNDYDEV.com. You are now listening to Kindred Spirits Podcast on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
Welcome in, folks, to Kindred Spirits here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. Ted here, John here. We are here to talk soccer, break down everything regarding the Washington Spirit. It's been a minute since we've had a Washington Spirit show, John. You've done the Friday show. Been a lot of action, a lot of news that has dropped about the Washington Spirit and collective ownership. It's been
also new First Division women's leagues popping up in the United States. So
yeah,
things are happening.
We'll definitely get into that. I've got some certainly have some thoughts about that. But first, John, how you doing, my friend? How's your week been? Hope it's been going well.
I can't complain. I am excited for another home game to see the Spirit, honestly, because they are really kicking on all cylinders right now. Unfortunately, the next home game looks to be the 28th, so I still have 10 days from when we're recording this to wait, which I'm annoyed. I kind of would have liked to have gone this weekend on my birthday. That'd have been nice, but alas.
They don't play this Saturday? They don't?
Not home.
Not at home. They play at Orlando, yeah. A lot of soccer going on. The Kickers return I did not make the Friday game, so I would be going to my first game in several weeks, but join that. I thought about making it up for the DCLA game, but just couldn't quite get it to get together. So
tickets are also a little bit high. I think people think David Beckham is still in the Galaxy based on how these tickets are selling.
Well, there's also this guy called Chicharito, which if
he's like Mexican Beckham at this point in his career. I think that's probably an accurate.
He's certainly a player that's very well known. They also got Ricky Puig from Barcelona, so they still reeling in that star power even in the disheveled
basement.
State. I just want to thank the MLS schedulers for giving them a road game in Columbus on Wednesday. They could have really screwed us and done. I think there's some teams that are getting the our opponent doesn't have to play a midweek game type of treatment. So I just want to thank the MLS schedulers for not only giving LA a game on Wednesday, but giving it a road game in Columbus where they got absolutely hammered. I think I'm in 2-1. It was 2-0. I think.
Yeah, 2-0.
But they got beat. So yeah, thank you. And then they got to come play us. And we hopefully, I was hoping maybe we get some players back, but not that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to
podcast. Check out 1996 if you want to hear more about DC.
If you want to hear more about that. But we got the Washington Spirit. Who went on the road to LA. See, there's still some symmetry there.
That's right. That's why we talked about the Galaxy.
Went on the road to play against Angel City FC and pulled out a stunning, gutsy 1-0 victory. Fortunate 1-0 victory off the penalty kick. Although I went back and it's been a minute. There's been a lot of soccer going through my head, so I watched the game, but then I also went and took a look at the extended highlights just to make sure my recollections were all the same. And I don't think you can classify this as Angel City FC outplaying the Spirit. This was probably one of the more higher quality games I think we've seen in the NWSL. Probably maybe a preview of the NWSL final if we're talking about which teams are top of the table and playing well. Really, where do you want to begin? Do we want to talk about the Tara Mickione defensive show, who was excellent again defensively? Just continues to grow into that position and proving there's a reason Mark Parsons has been a coach for so long and we have not. So.
Correct. That's why we are not the coaches. I would say Tara Mickione had one mistake that caused a chance for Wesley Thompson to almost score. But other than that, she continues. Sam Staub, we talked from the start like, well, Tara obviously is going to come off the bench because she's new and Amber Brooks will probably play in her spot. Amber Brooks has gotten a lot of minutes, but she's gotten a lot of minutes at right back, or at least not a position she intended to play. But yeah, I think we had an opportunity here. This was the first choice lineup. It was nice to see that, particularly coming off of a midweek game where Mark was able to rotate players. Still got Ashley Sanchez got in on that game. We didn't talk about that for a second. We talked about it on Friday. The 4-1 dismantling of the Orlando Pride by the Spirit.
4-2.
4-2. They scored a second one?
They did.
They did. Mm-hmm. So they were able to get the win with no Trinity, no Ashley Hatch. I believe Andy Sullivan did not play. Ashley Sanchez played a few minutes. But this they were able to do that, rest those players so they could give our best chance at winning on the road. And Angel City is a tough team. They're very, very tough at home. It was sort of a question of how will the Spirits' tactics of sort of being on the front foot offensively work in that dynamic on the road, and it worked pretty well. The Angel City was not an offensive threat throughout the game.
Yeah, and I think I want to maybe. I mean, this is going to be a little bit disjointed, so I apologize in advance. But I mean, I feel like it's worth mentioning. I mean, the big story coming out of the Orlando game was the fact they were able to rest those players and they were able to score goals offensively without. And so we're seeing
it wasn't them, right? Not the Ashley Hatch goal show. It was the 3 golassos and plus 1.
Just 3 high quality. I mean, I think it was. I'm trying to remember the first one. I believe was. It's been a minute since I did not watch the highlights of this game, but I believe it was Solano's first goal. Was that the
Correct.
And then Sam Staub off the free kick, and then
Marissa Shiva from distance, and then Ashley Sanchez from distance.
Yeah, it's Ashley Sanchez was also kind of a giveaway.
A chip.
Yeah,
but still, you've seen that missed. You've seen that missed a lot of times.
True. So I mean, it was in the way the team sort of fought back in that game. I think we kind of, when Orlando maybe got that first goal, we were all like, okay, this might be a long game. And then they just kind of turned it on, and we're able to get production and goals out of. And I think that's what we talked about. Maybe the Achilles heel of this team being is the fact that they are going to lose a lot of these players for the World Cup. They're still going to have games during the World Cup. How do you figure out a way to score and try to win games and keep yourself afloat until those players return from the World Cup? So I think that's certainly good to see. But then it allowed them the rest of the games. They then went against LA, able to start them. I will say, among the players we talked about, I think Sanchez had the best opportunity. She missed it, unfortunately, but she's still finding a way to get into good positions.
Ola Kamara wastefulness from Ashley Sanchez the last couple games.
She'll dial it in. She needs to tune it in a little bit more. But you talk about the Trinity Rodman. I mean, Trinity Rodman had some moments in this game, but was really, I think, Angel City have really been the first team, I think, that really limited what she's been able to do than other teams. I can't remember. There weren't too many key opportunities that she was able to kind of generate in this game.
Particularly when you compare that to what was the previous game before the Orlando game that they won at home sort of comprehensively? Who was that against? That was against the Wave. That was the game where Trinity was a complete problem. So that highs and lows. Even like you said, Angel City sort of had her in hand. She was not really making problems for them, but they're a very good side. San Diego is coming off a bit of a rough spell. Angel City is still pretty confident in where they are at. So
yeah, I mean, the game kind of settled a little bit into a lull. I don't think any team really generated too many good chances. I'd say Ashley Sanchez had the best chance. I think Spirit had a couple. Amber Brooks had one shot from outside the 18 that sort of fizzled wide. Just not a whole lot from either side. And, then we get into the penalty kick, which was a very, I think controversy. I really don't understand. LA fans everybody was very mad at the officiating in this game. And I really don't understand maybe where that's coming from. I don't know. Maybe
you knew the ref, right?
What's that?
Did you know the center official for this game?
I do. Full disclosure, I do know the center official for this game. Yes, and he is.
I just feel like in the spirit of
he is an acquaintance of mine. I've also, I think I put out on Twitter. I talked about how I think pro has made refereeing better in this league. We have a huge issue with the amount of professional games that we are asking to find referees for, and the fact that there are just not enough referees at this point. We have a huge explosion of professional level games, and we have this expectation that the referees are going to follow suit. And that is a pretty hard ask when not a lot of people want to go out and referee games. Everybody wants to go out and play soccer. No one wants to go out and referee soccer. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think there were a couple moments that maybe were a little dicey. It was certainly a tough game against a lot of tough opponents. The penalty call was certainly harsh. I'll say that on LA. I will say I forget who the penalty went on, but it was certainly not I don't think she did herself any favors. She has her arm extended. She's making her body bigger. Considering the angle and how quick the referee needs to make that decision, I think he makes that decision, and I'm not sure VAR really had much to overturn that. And they certainly looked at it, and when you don't have anything clear and obvious to overturn it, you have to go with the call. So certainly harsh on LA, but I don't think the call was as bad, and I think there's just a lot of people that I think were just upset that it cost LA the game, including I believe the sporting director for LA, if I recall correctly.
I thought it was one of their 9,000 owners that was on the field.
Yeah. But there's a whole HBO doc with Angel City. We'll have to
got to watch it. It's 3 episodes. Why not? We could make time for that.
There's talk about that. But I mean, that's also the amount of people I think that go out and they say, "Oh, that's good." The owner should go out there and accost the referees after the game. No, they should.
That is incorrect. No, they should not.
Yeah, it's game's over. Move on. Be nicer. The only thing I say to how we can make referee better, be nicer to that 12-year-old kid in your kid's soccer game. John, when you have a kid, if I find out you're yelling at referees, I will come find you.
That is not what I do. I'm not if anything, I would speak in a passive aggressive, sarcastic tone, but I would never yell at anyone.
Fair enough.
Marissa, by the way, just worth throwing out. Marissa Shiva is the one who won that penalty. Mm-hmm. She's on Hey Spirits this week. Pretty good interview. It's good to sort of hear. I'm trying to think if she's ever been on our show. I don't recall, but she's had a pretty interesting sort of path to pro. So check that episode out. And the last thing I want to say is Ashley Hatch is now once again alone in first place in the Golden Boot race. So Alex Morgan is on a bit of a cold streak, I guess, and Ashley Hatch continues to do her thing. This feels very. I think it was the Ashley Hatch Alex Morgan contest the year Ashley Hatch won. So 2 years ago. So good omen so far. I think that's something to look at. I look at this team. I am still concerned about the secondary scoring, regardless of what happened in the Challenge Cup game. I am still concerned. Like, if you look at the subs that didn't get used, it's still I'm still not seeing goals necessarily there. Chloe Ricketts, I am excited to see more of her in that time where she's going to be playing a lot more in the middle of the summer. Dorian Bailey comes back from injury. That's good. So I think you're going to see Amber Brooks go back to her position sort of as the first person off the bench on the back line. I wanted to also give Gabby Carl. We have not talked about her really at all since she signed. And she has been very, very solid on the left-hand side. So if you're looking at players, did Canada make the World Cup, the Women's World Cup this summer?
Oh, yeah.
I think they did, right?
Absolutely.
So she'll be gone for Canada. Marissa will be gone for Ireland because they made it also. Andy hopefully will be gone. Trinity will be gone. Ashley Sanchez, maybe Ashley Hatch, they're all names that are going to be gone. So if you're looking to build a team, maybe Tara McKeown goes back and played forward in the summer. Maybe that's what this is all like a big con. She runs out like Sting from the rafters and plays the number 9. That's when she kept her jersey number. Just kidding, but still, this is going to be a interesting balancing act. I'm not sure. It would be great to look ahead of time at when they're looking to still play, or like when the low overlap occurs, because there's going to be some time where the tournament is either still going or is over, but the players are not available yet, where NWSL recovers and starts playing. So I will be interested to see where we're at and how much of a cushion we can build from the points before that happens.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be key. I think also I want to mention, I think Solano getting a goal, I think against Orlando. I think she's a player that, you look at the players who played. I think that Orlando game was certainly an opportunity, I think, for Mark Parsons to see what this lineup is going to look like once those players are gone and off the field. And I think the fact that you go out and get 3 goals in that game, I think speaks a lot to maybe you can aspire for a little bit more, because other teams are going to be hurting. I mean, the Wave are going to be without are going
not like us though. I feel like we are uniquely hollowed out by this always.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see the breakdown. I think we're hurt on a lot of fronts as far as missing players. I think we'll hopefully a little better, able to handle it. I will say, I think NWSL needs to start getting serious about trying to figure out a way to limit the hurt that these international tournaments do, especially as they're coming, more fast and furious with a Women's Gold Cup next year. So
I feel like that's a perfect transition to talk about the new USLW league.
Let's do it. Let's jump right into it.
So USL, who a organization in a little bit of turmoil, and well, I don't say turmoil, but time of change. There's now a new person overseeing the entire USL, and it is no longer Brad Edwards. It is former disgraced
Paul
club
McDonough.
executive Paul McDonough. So keep that sort of in your back pocket. But announced early, I think it was on Tuesday potentially. Amanda Vander. What's the name of the woman that is now in charge of this league? She's a former exec, I thought, on the MLS side, but there's now there will be a new a new women's league applying for first tier status that will run a different schedule throughout the year than the NWSL, and will not have roster rules about international spots and national spots. There will be, I believe, no salary cap. I think they said. I think they're looking at trying to be fully competitive on a salary basis, but they did not say sort of how capitalized these rosters were. So that may be, the no salary cap thing may be a bit of a canard. But I think the exciting thing here is, well, I don't know, exciting, interesting thing. Is this what's needed in women's soccer? Is competition from a league perspective required right now? Do they have enough depth in this country and sort of abroad with whatever resources are available to have this many teams sort of operating concurrently? What do you think is going to be the end result of this competitive league, or whatever this is going to end up being?
I think the most likely result is they eventually they maybe do D1 for a little bit. They're able to garner interest. And then I think there are going to be some clubs that are going to shutter their doors, and then they just fall back to D2. I think this to me feels like a move. This feels like a move where you have a team that is, or you have a league that is very much trying to, that is maybe trying to garner some more interest, to get some more investment into the league, to try to do those types of things. And I think, being a D2 league maybe doesn't get them what they need. And so now they say, well, we're going to make the big slash and be D1. I think a lot of people are saying, why can't we just all work together? And my argument would be, well, has NWSL really done everything possible to set themselves up? We talk about what they've had many numerous issues that continue to develop. It feels like there's a new one every year that develops. They're getting better, I think, at responding to them. Now the question is, how do you prevent them? And I'm not saying like USL might come in and still do a really terrible job at that. They might start hiring guys. Hiring Paul McDonough as your next GM certainly doesn't look well. I think they are looking for avenues right now. They are under threat from MLS. I believe it was dropped in the Athletic that with USL League One, there are a lot of expansion teams, and I think existing teams that are maybe waiting to see what the MLS Next Pro League might offer them. They're desperate for independent teams. I think that gives them a sense of relevancy and they want everyone watching, on the new Apple product, having an independent team that's popular can certainly help that for MLS. So I feel like USL is maybe trying to be aggressive, maybe trying to push forward. Are they flying too close to the sun like the NESL did? Maybe. We'll see. But I think this is maybe just a move to garner interest, to try to see if they can push maybe a little bit. And then with the idea that, well, we can still fall back to Division 2 if things don't go well.
To Ted's point, listen to these are the markets that are in play here. Charlotte, North Carolina, who are going to play at the American Legion Memorial Stadium, which I just looked at, looks like City Stadium, except
it's where the current Charlotte Independents, who are still around for reasons passing interest, they play there as well. So
Dallas Fort Worth is another one. Lexington, Kentucky, because Kentucky is a big enough state and populous enough state to maintain 2 women's first division teams. Sure, no problem. But then also Phoenix, Arizona, and Tucson, Arizona are gonna both have clubs.
And with regards to Tucson, I think a lot of people have rightly pointed out, and this is the owners of this are the same owners of FC Tucson, who had a men's USL League One team before dropping that to USL League Two due to financial reasons. So I think everybody's very rightfully skeptical. Let's say about FC Tucson, the fact that they couldn't even prop up a third division men's side, and now they want to go for a first division women's team. So,
But Ted, now they have additional support through RightSure Insurance founder, best-selling author, and club chairperson Jeff Arnold. So now they're going to be good. Also, Tampa Bay, former owner of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I think what's the affiliation here? There's a former NASL
I mean,
NWS.
it's probably Tampa. It's probably the Tampa Bay.
Daryl Shaw. It's probably that one.
Yeah.
So that's one. But then the one of interest to listeners of the show, Washington D.C. Greg Baroni, now current owner of the Loudoun United, in partnership with DC United, are going to have a club, and we assume play at Segra. That's sort of our understanding. That would make the most sense. If they're playing at Audi Field, things are very confusing to everyone. I just could not imagine this happening.
Yeah, and so I think the background or history here that people might not be aware of is the fact that during all the drama that was the Washington Spirit, the ownership kerfuffle that happened last year, it feels like 2 years ago at this point.
It does.
It's certainly been a whole saga. DC United had come out and said, I think they had the Danita Johnson, the business person, came out and said they were going to start a W League team, which at the time was supposed to be the second division team, and that all
Correct.
kind of just fell. I think actually, funny enough, before this announcement came out, I was like, is there any like info on this like women's team that supposedly is supposed to be starting? Like, I think it was supposed to be almost wholly owned by DC, and they were going to play at Segra Field. And this was supposed to be, I think, sort of a minor league Division II team. I think that partnership with DC, I think, is going to be stretched very, very thin. I am not sure how much DC really has ownership. The partnership might just be they can use Segra Field training facilities, they can use Segra Field, and that's about it.
I think that's right.
Coaches, we're not giving any sort of marketing. We are not doing any of that. I'm not sure if Michelle Chang's out there going around buying Leon, so I don't know if she really notices.
Let's talk about that too. Michelle Kang has done something kind of interesting here. The rumors were before talking about buying Leon's women's side, and we didn't really know what that looked like. Did that mean OL Reign is also going to be under her umbrella? Does that mean what does that mean? This week there was a press release that's saying the ownership structure that was controlling the Spirit has been dissolved. There is a new entity that controls both, sort of like a city sports group component here, both Leon women's side and Washington Spirit. There are lots of questions to be asked and answered that none of them have occurred yet. Michelle normally comes to the press box to talk about things. She's done that now numerous times. If she does that this time, hopefully I'm not running around trying to find pupusas, so maybe I'll actually be there to be able to ask questions to her. But sort of the concern was everyone is like, okay, well, who's the sub in this relationship here? Who's going to get the short end of the stick? Is it going to be a situation where there's a major concern? And I don't know that we don't know. I doubt that. I don't think that's a really a fair concern. I think she sees this as an opportunity to use economies of scale with some of the I would assume the marketing side, maybe even ticket sales. That might be a little bit of a stretch across the continents, but certainly trying to develop some best practices that they can port over. Maybe making sure that the Leon's women team is a part of any sort of mid-season tournaments that occur. Mm-hmm. But OL Reign is up for sale as well now. Not under Michelle, not under current ownership either. So that's going to be something else I imagine they're going to rebrand, and then people will stop thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see them move back over to Seattle Reign or something, or they're going to go to an ownership group there. Maybe they'll be bought by the Seattle owners. Who knows? At this point,
what needs to happen is before Kat Macario comes to be a Chelsea player, Michelle needs to fly over there and put a stop to that and redirect her back over to Washington. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows?
That's a roster. That is if you're not. I mean, it's very entirely possible that if you're listening to this, you are a Spirit fan, you're an NWSL fan, you're not a global women's club soccer fan, and thus are not watching Lyon continue to dominate forever the French league and also the Champions League, or at least perform very well there. That roster, the Spirit have a star-studded roster. Leon has a really, really, really star-studded roster from top to bottom because there's not the same restrictions that they have here. So I think that is a place where Michelle can play with her money to its full capacity. She can go football manager school over there, and it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, I mean, interesting. This has the chances to be impactful. We just don't know yet, sort of where it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, and I think you sort of brought it up. I mean, this is, you know, they're trying to be. I think it sounds like what Michelle Kang is trying to do is to sort of become sort of the Man City football group. You know, we're going to own several different. They talked about they want to go and basically acquire a club. I think in every continent. They said it'll be interesting to see. I think the one thing that was brought up was, are we going to become OL Spirit? Is that what the plan is going to be? Is there going to be some sort of shared, naming scheme, which City Football Group also does as well? They kind of have like every team has City. They have stated no, that they will not do that. Every team's gonna have their own name. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know if they'll be like different names, but a shared color scheme, perhaps.
I mean, you did notice this. They set that up without that being known. We're in a holding pattern as far as what is our name, what are our colors. So just keep that in mind. That's not impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible to go back. I think if I am Michelle Kang, I don't think OL Reign really moved the needle. In fact, I think you could argue they've sort of lost some ground by sort of becoming sort of a subsidiary of Olympic Lyon and being. So I think if I'm Michelle Kang, I recognize the power of, you know, even if you are a global soccer entity that is owning multiple teams, you need to sort of maintain that local aspect. You can't just do, and it's funny to me that Olympic Lyon tried this, considering it's worked so well for for MLS when Chivas did that and everything like that. So I think I don't think we'll see. I think we'll see Washington something. We'll see, you know, some sort of name that includes DC, something to that effect. But certainly interesting times, as you said, for what the future is going to hold and how this is all going to look. And also, I mean, exciting, crazy to think like where we've come as sort of an ownership group for the Washington Spirit, from being owned by the current Chelsea owner to being owned by a guy who's awful and terrible in so many different ways, to now having a Michelle Kang coming in here and saying, not only am I going to own the Spirit, I'm going to build a women's soccer football empire. And we're going to collect all of these great teams, and we are just going to dominate the world. So
Todd Bowley, that is a guy I'm glad did not win that sort of sweetheart deal. Yeah, it's bad. It's horrible. I have lost all interest in being a Chelsea fan. He's killed it very quickly. Oh well, not important for this pod. But that, you know, I think the Spirit are the next game. We kind of like just went into the things that the broader picture. But we've got another game against Orlando on the road, I believe, on Saturday. Is that right?
Saturday,
I just want to make sure that's correct. Yes. So I think that this is I don't anticipate a road bump here or a speed bump here on the road to continued first place in the league. I want to see what Orlando did this. Did they play midweek or anything? Let's see. Hold on. Orlando is in 10th place, and they drew Gotham this week 0-0 on the road. So yeah, I'm seeing another Spirit victory. We're not going to get in deep into predictions, but I'm going to say 2-0 Spirit on the road. What do you think?
I'm going to go 1-1. I'm just going to say a draw.
Oh man, draw. The hot streak runs out a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
All right.
It's a road game. It's a road game. It's a tough road game.
Play teams twice in 2 weeks. That can happen sometimes.
Yeah. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Kindred Spirits, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll have to probably change the name for the Spirit Podcast.
Oh,
the team we brands.
Well, when we have such equity, everyone knows this. This podcast is so famous, so I don't know. We'll have to seek compensation from Michelle for if that's the case.
Yeah, all I'll say is that I think we batted around this rebrand and everything, and I think the team was sold, and we said, all right, we're going to do Kindred Spirits, and Washington Spirit's going to be the name, and then I think like the whole name change has been talked about for a while now, and I think once Michelle Kang got the hold of the team, I believe Pablo Maro dropped that, they're going to talk about changing the name. And it's like, Yeah, I
Cool.
guess we already came up with the spirit. We already came up with the name, but maybe
I bought stickers, Michelle. We bought stickers and T-shirts. Come on.
maybe we'll keep the maybe we'll keep the name. Maybe it'll be like RFK Refugees and
I'm
how
about to say we're always one brand behind. That's how we do this thing.
guys. By the way, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/RFK Refugees. Definitely contribute to the show. We read them out on both podcasts. If you want to state which podcast you wish to have your name listen out, definitely do that, and we'll definitely tell you. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.
Thanks again to our show sponsor, Mundy Development, available to help you with all of your real estate needs. To get started on your next real estate investment, visit mundydev.com. That's MUNDYDEV.com.